So Sphinx and Seal pose, a little bit of a back bend. Let's get started with starting in tabletop position. We'll work our way down onto the belly and the hips. So I always like to add a little bit of cushion, if you haven't noticed, underneath my hips. It's not necessary, but why not? Okay, so from tabletop you can extend the legs back behind, come up onto the forearms here. So, this is Sphinx pose. We'll start with just grabbing a hold of opposite elbow, and you're more than welcome to instruct the students to keep this bind of holding on to opposite elbow. Sometimes their tendency is the longer we're here, the wider their arms slide out to the sides. So, as a gentle reminder, they can keep a hold of the elbows. Otherwise, forearms can come like two train tracks just out in front. There's two options for the neck here, so you can keep the neck in a neutral position, or you can let the weight of the head come forward. Be mindful not to sag too deeply into the chest and into the shoulders here, so it may cause too much tension. There's the option to support your head with a block underneath it if you do want to let the head fall forward. So another option here with the legs is to bend into the knees. We'll compress the low back a little bit more, but it does provide a little bit more sensation if at some point the student is asking for a little bit more. And you can either do this entirely separate at another time after you've warmed up through Sphinx pose, or you can do Seal pose towards the end of Sphinx pose. Give the option to do it at least. So Seal pose is essentially same as Sphinx, only with the elbows extended, the forearms up off the ground. So if you instruct the student to extend the arms and it's just way too intense of a back bend, but they still want to participate, can walk the hands just a little further forward. It is more active posture, and there was a lot of support that's being done in order to help support the chest in an upright position. So of course, if it compresses the back too much or if it's too intense, you can always instruct the student to return back to Sphinx pose. But conversely, you can always instruct the student to even walk the hands closer in towards the body. Don't suggest holding this for too long, so maybe a minute or two. And same thing with the neck. So you can keep the neck in a neutral position in this upright position. And not so much an option to drop the head down. You're giving a lot of support into the shoulders, but if the student really wants to, they can. So while we're here, we're just breathing into the belly, whether you're in Sphinx pose or Seal pose. And just coming into the shape of the spine on the exhale. So, one way to come out of the pose or counteract the pose is to come all the way down onto the belly and the chest, extend the legs back behind if there's a bend into the knees. Take a palm pillow, rest the forehead on top of that. So you can simply bend to the knees, windshield wiper the shins from side to side. Or you can take the hands underneath the shoulders and move all the way back into child's pose. So bring the knees wide, big toes to touch, and counteracting the back bend.